Swami Vivekananda, the Chicago speech. Swami Vivekananda is a phenomenal figure of the 19th century India who took the world by storm with the speech delivered on September 11, 1893 at the First World's Parliament of Religions in Chicago, which is popularly known as the Chicago speech. Being an Indian Hindu monk, it was expected that Swami Vivekananda would speak about Hinduism, but along with that he also talked about the significance of interfaith consciousness that Hinduism and India stand for and how that is the need of the hour. What Swami Vivekananda talked about in 1893 is still relevant to the world when so many fights, wars, animosities across the world are due to religious intolerance as well as communal hatred. A short note on Swami Vivekananda. Swami Vivekananda was born as Narendranath Datta, the 12th of January 1863 to the 4th of July 1902. He became the disciple of the mystic monk Ramakrishna Paramahansa. In 1893, when the First World's Parliament of Religions was held in Chicago, Swami Vivekananda went there and with his powerful speech on Hinduism and interfaith beliefs of Indian tradition appealed to the Western sensibilities, and many found the spiritual pleasure in Hinduism that they were looking for. Swami Vivekananda was also involved in social work and established Ramakrishna Math and Ashram, which continue to work for the welfare and education of the people still today. The Chicago speech. Speech delivered by Swami Vivekananda on September 11, 1893 at the First World's Parliament of Religions in Chicago. Sisters and brothers of America. It fills my heart with joy unspeakable to rise in response to the warm and cordial welcome which you have given us. I thank you in the name of the most ancient order of monks in the world, I thank you in the name of the mother of religions, and I thank you in the name of millions and millions of Hindu people of all classes and sects. My thanks, also, to some of the speakers on this platform who, referring to the delegates from the Orient, have told you that these men from far-off nations may well claim the honor of bearing to different lands the idea of toleration. I am proud to belong to a religion which has taught the world both tolerance and universal acceptance. We believe not only in universal toleration, but we accept all religions as true. I am proud to belong to a nation which has sheltered the persecuted and the refugees of all religions and all nations of the earth. I am proud to tell you that we have gathered in our bosom the purest remnant of the Israelites, who came to southern India and took refuge with us in the very year in which their holy temple was shattered to pieces by Roman tyranny. I am proud to belong to the religion which has sheltered and is still fostering the remnant of the grand Zoroastrian nation. I will quote to you, brethren, a few lines from a hymn which I remember to have repeated from my earliest boyhood, which is every day repeated by millions of human beings, as the different streams having their sources in different paths which men take through different tendencies, various though they appear, crooked or straight, all lead to thee. The present convention, which is one of the most august assemblies ever held, is in itself a vindication, a declaration to the world of the wonderful doctrine preached in the Gita: whosoever comes to me, through whatsoever form, I reach him. All men are struggling through paths which in the end lead to me. Sectarianism, bigotry, and its horrible descendant, fanaticism, have long possessed this beautiful earth. They have filled the earth with violence, drenched it often and often with human blood, destroyed civilization and sent whole nations to despair. Had it not been for these horrible demons, human society would be far more advanced than it is now. But their time is come, and I fervently hope that the bell that tolled this morning in honor of this convention may be the death knell of all fanaticism, of all persecutions with the sword or with the pen, and of all uncharitable feelings between persons wending their way to the same goal.
हिंदी में अनुवाद।
शिकागो भाषण। The 11th of September 1893 को शिकागो में प्रथम विश्व धर्म संसद में स्वामी विवेकानंद द्वारा दिया गया भाषण। अमेरिका की बहनों और भाइयों, आपने हमें जो गर्मजोशी और सौहार्दपूर्ण स्वागत किया है, उसके प्रत्युत्तर में उठना मेरे हृदय को अकथनीय आनंद से भर देता है। मैं दुनिया में भिक्षुओं के सबसे प्राचीन क्रम के नाम पर आपको धन्यवाद देता हूँ। मैं आपको धर्मों की जननी के नाम से धन्यवाद देता हूँ, और सभी वर्गों और संप्रदायों के लाखों करोड़ों हिंदू लोगों के नाम पर आपको धन्यवाद देता हूँ। इस मंच के कुछ वक्ताओं को भी मेरा धन्यवाद, जिन्होंने पूर्व के प्रतिनिधियों का जिक्र करते हुए आपको बताया है कि दूर दराज के देशों के ये लोग हो सकते हैं। अलग अलग देशों में सहनशीलता के विचार को धारण करने के सम्मान का दावा करें। मुझे एक ऐसे धर्म से संबंधित होने पर गर्व है जिसने दुनिया को सहिष्णुता और सार्वभौमिक स्वीकृति दोनों सिखाई है। हम न केवल सार्वभौमिक सहिष्णुता में विश्वास करते हैं, बल्कि हम सभी धर्मों को सत्य मानते हैं। मुझे एक ऐसे राष्ट्र से संबंधित होने पर गर्व है, जिसने सभी धर्मों और पृथ्वी के सभी राष्ट्रों के उत्पीड़ितों और शरणार्थियों को आश्रय दिया है। मुझे आपको यह बताते हुए गर्व हो रहा है कि हमने अपनी छाती में इस्राएलियों के सबसे शुद्ध अवशेष को इकट्ठा किया है, जो दक्षिण भारत में आए थे और उसी वर्ष हमारे साथ शरण ली थी जब रोमन अत्याचार द्वारा उनके पवित्र मंदिर को टुकड़े टुकड़े कर दिया गया था। मुझे उस धर्म से संबंधित होने पर गर्व है जिसने आश्रय दिया है और अभी भी भव्य पारसी राष्ट्र के अवशेषों को बढ़ावा दे रहा है। मैं आपको, भाइयों, एक भजन की कुछ पंक्तियों को उद्धृत करूंगा, जो मुझे याद है कि मैंने अपने शुरुआती बचपन से दोहराया है, जिसे हर दिन लाखों मनुष्यों द्वारा दोहराया जाता है। जैसा कि विभिन्न धाराओं के स्रोत अलग अलग रास्तों में होते हैं, जिसे लोग अपनाते हैं विभिन्न प्रवृत्तियों के माध्यम से, विभिन्न भले ही वे प्रकट हों, टेढ़े मेढ़े या सीधे, सभी आपको ले जाते हैं। वर्तमान अधिवेशन, जो अब तक की सबसे प्रतिष्ठित सभाओं में से एक है, अपने आप में गीता में प्रचारित अद्भुत सिद्धांत की दुनिया के लिए एक घोषणा है। जो कोई भी मेरे पास आता है, किसी भी रूप में, मैं उस तक पहुंचता हूं। सभी लोग उन रास्तों से जूझ रहे हैं जो अंत में मुझे ले जाते हैं। सांप्रदायिकता, कट्टरता और इसके भयानक वंशज कट्टरतावाद ने इस खूबसूरत धरती पर लंबे समय से कब्जा कर रखा है। उन्होंने पृथ्वी को हिंसा से भर दिया है, इसे अक्सर और अक्सर मानव रक्त से सराबोर कर दिया है, सभ्यता को नष्ट कर दिया है और पूरे राष्ट्र को निराशा में भेज दिया है। अगर इन भयानक राक्षसों के लिए यह नहीं होता, तो मानव समाज आज की तुलना में कहीं अधिक उन्नत होता। लेकिन उनका समय आ गया है, और मुझे पूरी उम्मीद है कि इस सम्मेलन के सम्मान में आज सुबह जो घंटी बजती है, वह सभी कट्टरता, तलवार या कलम के साथ सभी उत्पीड़न और एक ही रास्ते पर जाने वाले लोगों के बीच सभी अमानवीय भावनाओं की मौत की घंटी हो सकती है। लक्ष्य: A critical analysis of the Chicago speech. Religious encounters have been on a rise in the recent decades due to the growing intolerance as well as religious illiteracy. Some people think that their religion is the exclusivist ideological and spiritual means to let their community be justified in their religious pursuits, while the other communities, especially the minority religious communities, are often not acceptable in what they represent or disseminate. Mass migration from one country to another and faster communication and transport networks are making human beings interact with people of different religious backgrounds. But at the same time, it can be seen that their religious worldviews are getting narrower, leading to often having religious intolerance, fanaticism, and even hatred for people belonging to other religion. The need in this era of globalization is interfaith dialogues and cooperation so that people realize where they are going wrong with their religious sensibilities and can look forward to a religiously cohesive and harmonious world. Though interfaith awareness is the need of the hour, but Swami Vivekananda talked about the same much earlier in 1893, as religious intolerance was prevalent from centuries ago. though the problems has aggravated in recent times, and thus many people across the world are not getting more and more conscious of the need for interfaith sensibility, which cannot just bring harmony, but also may lead to peaceful cohabitation and the end of many intolerant behavior and animosities. Douglas Pratt, in his essay, Fundamentalism, Exclusivism, and Religious Extremism, attempts a theorization of the extremist position that religious fundamentalists often take to assert their identity and religious culture onto other religious community. They like to believe that their exclusivist religious ideological position makes them justify taking into account the world from their own perspective and discarding all other means to be invalid. In other words, it is being argued that fundamentalism, exclusivism, and religious extremism impact directly and indirectly upon interreligious engagement. Often, religious fundamentalism leads to motivated acts of violence, including terrorism. Pratt defines religious fundamentalism as a narrow, strict, and limited metaphysics and set of doctrines, which to a greater or lesser degree hardly impinge on the wider life of a society. It can mean a worldview that engenders, if not demands, the advocacy of a sociopolitical ordering or action to achieve an intended outcome. Indeed, fundamentalisms look backward and set out to freeze some moment, some event, some text or texts from the past as the perfect place in time and space from which to measure life in the present. Thus, religious exclusivism rejects plurality, whereas interreligious engagement and dialogue occur in a context of religious plurality. Thus, there is a need today to have a relook at the ideas that Swami Vivekananda emphasized in his Chicago speech in 1893, where he talked about religious tolerance as the means through which the world can get ahead and do away with man-made injustices which are creating disharmony. Australian sociologist Gary Baumer remarks, being consciously multi-faith as part of being a postmodern society. He further adds that, in the context of discourse on interreligious dialogue, exclusivism has been posted as the position inimical to dialogue and against which, through the application of either inclusivism or pluralism, positions of openness to dialogical engagement have been contrasted and advocated. There is a need of engaging with the issue of interfaith ideas at all levels in the society in such a manner that everyone is made literate about the ways in which religious discourses and sensibilities are significant in our lives and in understanding our social, religious, and cultural order. In this context, it is very essential to understand that with the progress of our civilization to a globalized setting, we have become more plural than ever. Human interactions have become so that we can often cross the supposed boundaries of religious demarcation and have shown our faith in interreligious relationships, sometimes by interreligious marriages, sometimes by being in situations when one encounters more than one religion very closely in one's life, etc. In the Interfaith Minute of Parliament of World's Religions, How the Interfaith Movement Engenders Mutual Understanding and Appreciation, it is being stated that the world can become a greater peaceful and congenial place to live in if we understand the significance of the interreligious engagements. We need to start the dialogue with other religious communities to discover shared values and beliefs, and to gain greater mutual understanding. Only when the mutual understanding between people of different religious identities will become much stronger, then we will be able to understand that all religions seek equally valid ways to approach God and bring spirituality to our lives. To achieve this, it is necessary that we bring in compassion in our approach of dealing with people and not merely feel that exclusivity is the path for religious goals. We need to accept the interfaith dialogues with an open heart and mind so that we progress towards the goals of accomplishing good for the mankind. For any kind of interfaith engagements to be fruitful, it is necessary that people are made to learn the significance of tolerance, which can possibly make them mentally and psychologically as well as culturally ready to accept other religious communities. The interfaith consciousness makes a plea to the people that only when we are liberal and open-minded to the ways of the other religious communities that we will be able to accept the essential truths of interfaith thoughts. We need to have the mindset to create stronger bonds with people across different religions, and that is the way to mar the supposed exclusivity of religions and find the universal in every religion. We need to connect with the people with the faith that interfaith beliefs and ways are the way forward for the world.